These are the dumbest lottery winners ever. Winning the lottery might be a sign of good fortune. But what if your millions wash away overnight? Have you heard of anyone who wasted their money as soon as they got it? Here are some examples. In today's video, we'll look at the dumbest people who lost their millions because they didn't know how to manage them. Starting with Tonda Dickerson, who was sued twice. When it rains, it pours, as the old saying goes, and Tonda Dickerson knows this better than most. Dickerson was working as a waitress at a Waffle House when a customer gave her a lottery ticket as a tip. She won $10 million that weekend. Then the trouble started to happen. Tipping is often done as a group in restaurants. Dickerson's co-workers sued because they thought they all deserved an equal share of her win. She lost at first, but she won on appeal because she lived in Alabama and had won the lottery in Florida, but gambling was illegal there. The man who gave Dickerson the ticket then sued her. He said that the waitress had told him that if she won, she would buy him a truck. That case was thrown out, but things weren't over by a long shot. Before Dickerson won the lottery, she had been divorced for 2 years. Her ex-husband tried to take her away. She was able to shoot him, and then she took him to the hospital. The IRS also sued Dickerson and lost because they thought they were owed too much money. It looked like that was the end of her problems, at least the ones that people could see. Next is the winner, who lost $5.5 million because he used illegal money to buy the ticket. Most people who have bad luck after winning the lottery do so because of things that happen after they win. That makes sense, right? Jose Luis Betancourt showed that what you did before you won can make a difference. The lottery gave Betancourt $5.5 million. When he went to the bank to make sure the state lottery board had transferred the money, he didn't have time to check. When he arrived, the police were already there waiting for him and arrested him. It turned out that Betancourt was a drug dealer, and the day before, he had given an informant 36 grams of cocaine. Police took him into custody, and his lottery winnings were taken away because the state said he bought the ticket with money from a crime. He tried to get the case changed, but failed. Moving on next is lotto bank robbers. In the past, groups had come together to buy every possible number combination in a lottery draw when it was known that the winnings would be more than the cost of the tickets. But you have to pay a lot of money up front. What would a regular person do? 2 bank employees from Taiwan came up with a plan when they stole the equivalent of $6.6 million US from their job and spent it all on lottery tickets. Their plan was both simple and dumb. They would steal the money, buy the tickets, and then put the money they won in place of the money they stole. One of the thieves did it all by himself, stealing about $25,000 and then making enough money to pay it back. The robbery wasn't done all at once. The first time, they took about $1,800. Nothing went to them. They spent more than $50,000 in one day at one point. Again, they thought they could get back twice what they spent. They lost, though. So when they realized how bad they had done, they decided to steal more money and run away. Then for some reason, they stole more than $280,000 and put $215,000 back into lottery tickets. For the biggest bank robbery in Chinese history, the 2 men were caught and sentenced to death. Next is Jose Antonio Coutok, who let his money claimed by someone else. Now, it doesn't make much sense to play the lottery in general. The odds are bad, and you're almost certainly just going to waste a lot of money. But if you were in the United States illegally, it doesn't make much sense to play the lottery. If you win, you can't even legally get the money. And yes, that's what happened to Jose Antonio Coutok, who was born in Guatemala and came illegally to the US in 2000. The Georgia lottery gave Coutok $750,000. But because he was in the country illegally, he asked his boss, Eric Cervantes, to claim the money on his behalf. Cervantes agreed, but he didn't give the money to Jose, which was a big surprise. Instead, Coutok sued Cervantes for the money, which is how it was found that he was in the country illegally. He was also sent to jail because he was accused of making fake documents and making threats against Cervantes and his family. He was supposedly so angry that he threatened to kill them. Jose Antonio Coutok would have been much better off if he had bought a can of soda or a candy bar with his money instead of playing the lottery. Another dumb lottery winner is a party animal. So what happens when a 19-year-old with a rough childhood, a history of small crimes and drug use, and a lottery win of around £10 million in the UK? I think we can all see where this is headed. Yes, when Michael Carroll came to collect his winnings, he was actually wearing an ankle bracelet that the court had ordered him to wear. He had also been picking up trash, and the fact that he didn't even have a bank account shows that he didn't know how to handle money. After getting about $14 million in one night, Carroll became a bit of a celebrity in the UK. He bought a mansion, had legendary parties with drugs and hookers, and even had demolition derbies in his backyard. Also, he was often seen with a lot of gold chains and other expensive jewelry on. Michael Carroll quickly spent all of the money he won, so much so that he became homeless and lived in the woods. Carroll was finally able to get a job at a cookie factory, where he made $300 a week. This was a big change from the way he used to live, but it seems that Carroll was able to stop using drugs after he lost everything, and he says that his life is much better now. Next is James Hayes, who began robbing banks. Most of us will never know what it's like to have $1 million. You might want to buy a mansion, cars, vacations, all of the above. You can imagine how addictive that money would be. So if you lost everything, what would you do? Jim Hayes won $19 million, which should have been more than enough for him to live comfortably for the rest of his life. But like many other winners, Hayes spent too much money too quickly. He bought 6 Lamborghini condos that cost $1 million each. He went on fancy trips. He also became hooked on heroin. Hayes won the lottery when he was 35 years old in 1998. He spent more and more money. He took out a loan using the money he hadn't given yet. It all caught up with him in the end. He took pain pills because he had 3 herniated discs. He had to file for bankruptcy in 2007. He couldn't use the money he won because it was taken to pay off his debt. He moved into a cheap apartment that burned down soon after he moved in. By 2017, Hayes was stealing from banks. In 5 months, he robbed 11 banks. He only got 33 months in prison because he didn't have a criminal record and didn't use a weapon. Okay, this next story is also a mistake in the law. Denise Rossi won $1.3 million in the lottery on December 28, 1996. 11 days later, she asked her husband for a divorce, but she didn't tell him about her little windfall. Her plan was to start a new, single, and wealthy life. Also, anyone who wants to get a divorce should be able to do so whenever they want. But Rossi soon found out that she couldn't do that when she was trying to hide a lot of money. Even though Rossi and her husband had been married for 25 years, she said in court papers that she had hidden the win because she didn't want her husband to get his hands on the money. It took her ex-husband 2 years to find out she won, and then he sued her. The court didn't feel sorry for her because she was too greedy and accused her of fraud or bad intentions because she broke disclosure laws. The judge told her to pay her husband $66,800 each year for 20 years. That comes to a little more than $1.3 million. So that was all about the video. And if you enjoyed today's video, then subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and press the bell icon for more videos like this.